Hello, this is John with Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, and I'm here this week with Mr. Sizzle, Chandler Zirkle, for Turning the Page. Just before we begin, we will remind you to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to your local comic book shop, Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, our YouTube channel here. Obviously, the more subscribers we get, the more viewers we get, the more we know that the content is being watched and that we should continue doing what we do. So Marvel is got a target on pretty much all of their characters, it seems like.
Nobody's safe.
Last episode, we talked about the death of Spider-Man. This week, it is the death of Doctor Strange. He is slated to die, and everybody wants to know, who is the next Sorcerer Supreme? So who do you think is possible for replacing him?
Well, it seems like what they may do and what they have been teasing is, if you've been reading the comics, Captain Marvel has been hanging around a lot, trying to learn some of those Sorcerer Supreme powers. Now, some of you might be saying, well, wait a minute, isn't Captain Marvel already insanely overpowered character? Should she have the power of Sorcerer Supreme? I would say for the good of everyone, probably not, but she may be getting it.
Well, she turned into a bad guy.
Well,
power
corrupts. If you see Civil War 2, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, is Carol the person we should entrust with these abilities? She seems to do okay just as Captain Marvel when she stays in her lane, but that's a lot. Power corrupts, and she already has a great deal of it. Now, would it be really cool for like an event or something to have Captain Marvel as Sorcerer Supreme? Obviously. I don't know if that's something that I would continue like for a Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme comic for an ongoing. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think that can be turned into very much a one-trick pony pretty quickly, but it does seem like that might be one of the big characters they're looking at to replace Doctor Strange, because they've already been hinting a little bit that she is learning those arts.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be her, just because I think that storyline is going to come to a conclusion within her book, and she's going to realize that the mystic arts are not her forte.
For the sake of every non-superpowered being in the universe, I hope that's the case.
So I have two hopes. I'm okay with either one of my two hopes. One is Wiccan. I've loved Wiccan ever since he was introduced in Young Avengers, and I feel like they've been building up the character, and they've even said in the past that he is a future Sorcerer Supreme. So, you could easily pass the mantle on and allow him to start getting his exposure as that. Also, they've obviously pushing Hulkling right now with the storyline from last year, the year before, the Empire storyline. Mm-hmm. So I could easily see them going that route, and I think Wiccan's just a cool character. The whole Young Avengers are cool characters, and I feel...
especially they're teasing them a lot in the future movies and television shows, so it might also make, even though they don't do a lot of crossing over from the movies to the comics, it would make sense.
Well, Kevin Feige is the chief creative officer of Marvel now.
That might be changing in the near future, and he's definitely hinting at the Young Avengers or something that he's going to be doing, so it would make sense in terms of a money standpoint to be like, hey, you like that movie, like that TV show, here's this character in the comics, or vice versa, build up that character's popularity in the comics before they show up.
Disney does love synergy, so they do like the synergy between the different things. But my other one is Donny Cates' run on Doctor Strange was amazing, and I feel like Loki as Sorcerer Supreme was not long enough. It was a very fun read. I would love for him to get the powers back again and run with it a little bit longer. Maybe not forever, but maybe like 2 years.
Again, I think for the sake of everyone, I think it would be better not forever. But that one, I think I would be a little more surprised by. I think the other two that you said are probably better options. Again, I think it was a good storyline for sure. I think Donny Cates might be a little too busy to write that, and they might not entrust that version of Loki with another writer. But I also just think there might be other people that are more likely to fill those shoes. Right now, Loki might be kind of a curveball from a couple years ago to just throw out there, but it could happen.
They are building him up also, though. He has this Disney Plus show on right now.
That's true.
And he's a very popular character in the MCU. So
maybe they'll get Tom Hiddleston to write it.
Did you have any other characters you thought might take over, or you hope take over?
I mean, I think Wiccan's really cool. I can definitely piggyback on that. I think that would be interesting. I think Hulkling would also be interesting. I think those are both smart decisions.
Well, Hulkling was more they're pushing him as within the Empire as the leader of the Shi'ar whatever stuff. So
those alien people.
Yeah.
Those alien guys. Yeah, I think Wiccan would be cool. I think, like I said, I think Captain Marvel would be cool for like a blip. I don't think I wouldn't necessarily want a huge ongoing with it, but I think it would be cool for like a short amount of time, kind of in the same way as Loki. But I think Wiccan definitely makes sense in terms of if there is somebody who could do it well, and again, not turn into this like insane homicidal power crazy maniac. I think that would be a good person to fill those shoes in.
I think it would be actually better to turn Captain Marvel into a bad guy at this time, but I don't know. We'll see how all that goes. But we'll turn a page on that one as we get closer to the storyline and we see who does replace Doctor Strange. We'll give our critique of whether we think it was a good move, bad move, unexpected,
swing and a miss,
possible.
We'll see.
Let's move on to the next topic, and that is It's Not You, It's Me. Grant Morrison is taking a break from DC after his Superman Authority miniseries. What did you think of the news?
Well, first of all, I already thought Grant Morrison was already on a break from DC, so it wasn't exactly surprising. I don't know, man. I don't like to bash people and besmirch or whatever, but and I know some people like Grant Morrison. I think a lot less people like Grant Morrison than they used to, but some people are just, they remember the good old days and they're diehards, and I get that. But honestly, if you can read his stuff, awesome, more power to you. There's not enough Tylenol in the world. I just don't. I used to love Grant Morrison too, and I'm kind of just over it. I still love his other stuff. There was good confusing where I trusted that you were just a little smarter than me, and maybe the acid you were taking was making you a better writer. Arkham Asylum, All-Star Superman. There were definitely some great things in characters that he created. Some independent stuff as well that was awesome. But lately, just everything. I read that Green Lantern series that he read, and I tried to defend it, and you were telling me no, and I tried to cape up for him and argue with it, but after the end of the season 1 and there was that little Black Star miniseries and then season 2 came around, I was reading it just to finish it, and it was
prove me wrong.
Miserable. I have all of it. It is in my collection. It is in my long box. It is in there taped up, whatever. I've read it. I understood almost none of it. It was confusing. It was in no way enjoyable. The art was pretty gorgeous, but even that started getting insanely trippy, and he started passing his acid off to the artist, which was bad for him because he couldn't tell what was going on in half the pages, and it was just miserable. So honestly, again, and people who are fans of the Authority, this might be a cool, little short miniseries. I hope it is. I hope it's well. But if everything I've been seeing from him lately proves out, it's going to be confusing, very difficult to understand and read. And honestly, I don't know that DC Comics needs Grant Morrison right now.
So I have a bunch of things. So number one, I think Grant Morrison loves Superman. So I have faith that this is going to be a good miniseries.
I hope so.
All-Star Superman, like you said, was really, really well done.
Yeah.
And to me, Grant Morrison had already lost me before All-Star Superman because the X-Men run that he had written was... A lot of people loved it. I'm not gonna say it was definitely not for me. I read 3 issues of it.
Like those movie accurate costumes.
No, I didn't. Well, that wasn't him. I mean,
no, I know
it was his run, but that was Marvel
draw.
dictating
the. And he's not the artist.
I don't know. It was definitely not for me. And then he went over to Batman, and a lot of people love his Batman run, and it was not for me.
I like most of his Batman run.
You liked most of it?
And then we got to, what was the big event that he wrote?
R.I.P.
No.
Infinite Crisis?
Oh, my God. Bro, I defy you to read that whole thing and tell me that you loved it and then explain to me everything that happened in that book. Aside from Batman maybe dying and not dying, I defy you to explain me anything that happened in that miniseries. It was just a giant headache.
One of my favorite runs of all time is his JLA run. It was absolutely amazing. And I think the problem is when he first had books like that, he had strong editors telling him you can do this, you can't do that, and he became Grant Morrison.
And everyone's afraid to tell him, hey, reel it in. This is
literal insanity. The Emperor's not wearing any clothes, sort of thing. And maybe he's testing them, and I'm just going to give them the craziest piece of
and see if it gets passed. And it always seems to get passed.
And it's a shame because I think he really is a very talented writer. I think that a lot of writers, and regardless of how talented they are, they need an editor or somebody telling them yeah, this is too far, this needs worked on or massaged a little bit to make it into a better piece. I think I've told you before, Jim Shooter made John Byrne and Chris Claremont mad for making them rewrite the Dark Phoenix saga because he said that they had Jean Grey live at the end, and Jim Shooter was like, no, she killed billions of people.
She's a monster. We don't want her around after this.
And they got angry about it, but it was a better story because of it. And like I said, to me, there's editors. The editors need to serve that role in order to make sure the stories are the best possible that they can be. So like I said, I'm optimistic about the Superman Authority one because I think he does have a lot of love for that character, and he wants it to be, and he has a lot of love for the Authority also. So yeah. I think that it has the potential, if he's using it as a dichotomy sort of thing, as like the yin yang, the positive and negative aspects of superheroism and that kind of thing. I think it can be very, very good. In terms of him taking a break from DC, I feel like DC's in a different position now than what it was 10 years ago or even 20 years ago.
Dan Didio is not just going to let him do whatever he wants.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about there's so much energy and youthfulness within DC right now.
I don't see a place for Grant Morrison right now in terms of the mainstream of
and there's optimism, and Grant Morrison
he doesn't do great with optimism, but unless it's like a Black Label or something, like again Superman versus Authority, like these little like mini series that don't really tie in, I don't. And again, it's not even like I want him gone, it's just I don't see a place where he fits in the main DC continuity right now for a lot of the reasons you just said.
And Grant Morrison used to be optimistic. Like I said, his JLA run was not pessimistic at all.
It was great.
His All-Star Superman was not pessimistic at all.
The opposite.
But I feel like he's in a different place right now than where the DC universe is. And that's why I named this segment, It's Not You, It's Me, sort of. And maybe it'll be best for both of them, and maybe they can get Grant, like you said, on some side projects like Black Label or a miniseries outside of continuity or what have you.
Or not. Yeah, whatever he wants to do.
I do feel like that Green Lantern storyline was...
It was literal dumpster fire. He owes me an apology.
I read the first 3 issues.
He owes me a Scottish apology. Like, he needs to come down and apologize to me for making me read that. Liam Sharp, because now he was on a trajectory too, and then he attached himself to that, and now like people aren't asking Liam Sharp to draw things anymore, which is a shame because he is a gorgeous, gorgeous art, and he's very talented. And I'm like, dude, I don't blame him. Like Grant Morrison, you think is a safe ship to latch onto, but
so I think I told you when he was announced for that one though that I thought that was an odd choice for him to do that one. Just not even because of Grant Morrison, but because Green Lantern is generally like optimistic and the light sort of thing, and Liam Sharp does a lot of like heavy inks and darker like.
Oh, it was very dark, and not just because of Liam Sharp.
I know.
Very dark, not good.
So we will probably talk about the Superman Authority storyline at some point, but we will turn the page on that at this point, and we will move on to the next topic. Actually, before the next topic, we will remind you that this is Brainstorm Comics and Gaming. We have 2 stores here in Maryland. We have one in downtown Frederick. If you're looking for a nice day trip, I would highly recommend going to the Frederick location. Lots of great restaurants downtown, lots of great stores. So I would definitely recommend that if you're looking for a good day trip with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. And then if you're looking for a more inclusive or all-inclusive sort of experience in terms of like how many comics you can look through and graphic novels, I would say come out to the Walkersville location. We have tons of graphic novels, 100,000 plus comic books within the store. Just a great experience if you just want to go digging through books. We have a pretty good variety as well. Always adding more.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next topic. I know one of your favorite characters is Batman, and the next big storyline is approaching, Batman Fear State. It seems like the DC Infinite Frontier has been building towards this because of everything that's been going on with A-Day and all of that. So
I'm excited about it. I think before these type of events would kind of bother me because I'm like, I have to read all of these different series. But honestly, it's all been going so well that for the first time in a long time, I'm actually already reading all of these series, so I don't have to like add anything to my pull list or pick things up, except for like if they have a one shot or a standalone. But I'm already reading, Batman, Detective Comics, Nightwing, Harley Quinn, and they're all doing very well. I think the fact that they're having James Tynion kind of oversee an arching plan, obviously giving those writers creative freedom to do their thing because they are all talented writers in their own right.
Be kind of like a showrunner.
But he has a showrunner, like an over-encompassing thing, which I think has maybe where DC has struggled before, is they didn't have that, and then they wanted to have these events and stick together, and it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't. Even to go as far back as in Tom King's early run, he had a crossover with just 2 or 3 different books, where Hugo Strange ended up being the big bad, and it was like Monster something, but it just felt forced, and it didn't really feel there because Batwoman and Nightwing, they were all doing completely different things, and all of a sudden they had to show up and be like, oh, hey, I'm here now. Oh, yeah, I've heard about this for a while. But like you knew they didn't. If you were reading the book, it didn't make any sense. For this, they all have that underlying, whether it be A-Day or other things going on, where they do all feel connected.
Been laying hints and stuff.
And their own separate stories. So it makes sense that it would have this big overarching story.
And it ties into Future State, because this is all part of like the lockdown of Gotham and
where the Magistrate really kicks in and goes into further effect. Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, has a big, well, maybe not Jonathan Crane, but Scarecrow has this big,
maybe not Joker
presence.
Also.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs.
I still believe it wasn't Joker responsible for the Arkham.
Well, maybe we'll find out in Fear State.
We will see. But no, I think it's really cool. We're going on, at the time that comes out, probably like 8 months, 9 months worth of like laying the groundwork for all of this.
I think so,
and I have to believe that the storyline is going to at least go through the end of the year, maybe even into early next year. I think that they're laying like these massive storylines out there, but it doesn't feel forced like other ones. It feels like this is organically coming out of the stories that they were telling.
Right.
And I think Marvel and DC want to do these massive crossovers, and I think that this is the best way to do it, where you make it feel organic and people don't feel like they feel like they're forced into reading because they like the story, as opposed to like, well, if you want to read the whole story,
or they really like 2 of the titles, and in order for them to understand what's going on in the next one, they have to read the other ones, which can frustrate readership, not have the effect you want it to. But I agree, like all of this feels like it's been leading up to this. It doesn't feel like, oh, hey, we're doing our own thing, and then all of a sudden this giant thing gets dropped on top of them and they have to deal with it. It feels like it's coming organically, and I think James Tynion being that showrunner, kind of overarching, again, not taking control of anybody's writing, but just saying, hey, like, again, like we talked about before, which Marvel has done for a lot of years, of saying, hey, and DC is doing this in pockets and as a whole with Infinite Frontier and things like that, of saying, hey, this is our plan with the Batman family characters. This is our plan for everything in the DC continuity for it. It feels like they are working on things a couple years out and really having a big orchestrated plan in doing it the correct way.
Well, I've talked about this before. Early 2000s Marvel did it very similarly. Like, they had these big writer meetings and they talked about like, oh, this will lead into that and this will lead into that, and like they talked about it and they conferred about how they wanted things to go. Like House of M led into Avengers Assembled, which led into Civil War, which led into Secret Invasion. I mean, I'm setting up the order a little bit, but the point was that each one of those things led into the next thing, and it felt like a big story, and you didn't feel like you were forced into reading it. You wanted to read it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing that both companies need to get back to. Like, if you make the narrative strong enough, the people will read it, and they will be forced into reading it, but because they care about it, not because
they want to. It makes you care about all the characters instead of sticking to your just favorite 2 or places you might not have gone. If the story is that compelling and it does feel that interwoven and organically connected, you have an investment in everybody in the DC community, not just Batman or not just these 1 or 2 characters. You want to read everything. And
as much as people like Court of Val, I think the Magistrate has the possibility to be even bigger than that in terms of like the impact on the character and on Gotham and on the DCU. Which, like I said, the Court of Owls were a great creation, but like I said, I feel like this is going even further, and I don't know. Like I said, I like that they're getting people to read it because they want to, and instead of like pushing them against the wall and twisting their arm and like,
I agree.
You will buy this.
I hated that. I would do it, but I wouldn't like it. And this, I'm actually excited about this, and for all the part when I found out like how encompassing it was, I was like, oh great. I was worried it was going to be like too small. Like I was excited that like all of the titles do have a play, and like I said, already reading them anyway because they're just that compelling.
I know some people are going to be kind of upset because they feel like Batman's already getting too much print.
It's Batman. It's going to happen. Spider-Man's going to get a lot of print from Marvel. Batman's going to get a lot of print for DC. It is what it is.
Yeah.
At least it's good writing right now.
Exactly.
That's all. That's if you're going to have it and you need to have it, it's going to happen anyway. The best case scenario is that it is being handled by a great showrunner, for want of a better term, and a lot of good writing talents, and it is right now, and that's all you can ask for.
So we will turn the page on that topic. We will definitely revisit that as Fear State gets underway and we see all the repercussions. We at one point we're gonna have to do a video on Infinite Frontier, like everything that's happened over the last 6-7 months and
DC breakdown.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very exciting time to be a DC fan. If you're not reading it, even if you're not a DC fan, I think
missing out.
Yeah, I think that they're telling the best stories in comics for superheroes right now. But I know you'll probably say Black Hammer's up there also, but
yeah, but unfortunately no one's reading Black Hammer. But I love it and everybody should, but it's also different. I mean, I get that independents are always going to be third tier down the line. Like it is what it is. They are doing a lot of great stuff, but also because it's independents, they take breaks. And so between the main Black Hammer story, the last one, and this one, it's been a year and a half, 2 years. Like I get it. Batman, Spider-Man, Marvel, DC, they're not going to take those kind of breaks. Like you are going to get that continuous cycle, which does help build that loyal fan base when you are getting at least one book a month with those characters. And if you're reading Spider-Man and their related family, you're getting pretty much a book every week with something to do with that. So it's hard to compete with that if you're an independent.
Exactly. So we will turn the page on that one. Like I said, we'll definitely revisit it. We are moving on to Chandler's favorite part of the program, Stump John. If you watched last week, Chandler won for the first time. I went 2 for 5. The first time I went under 50%. I think it's 3-1.
Something like that. But like I said, we might have to change the parameters of this game. I don't like that you have 50-50 odds. That's so
you want to give me like 3 characters I have to put in order?
Maybe. Just something. I don't know. We're going to have to tweak it a little bit. I think you still have... I mean, Han Solo says never tell me the odds, but I want to know the odds so that mine are better than yours. All right, so this theme, like he said, if you watched last week, it was very theme-centric. It was all Jimmy Olsen, and we are definitely going to have to return to that at some point because there's just a giant just buffet of just awesome Jimmy Olsen variants and things that happened to him over the years, largely due to just the many different rainbow colors of kryptonite. And, of course, Jimmy accidentally gets himself entangled into these messes. And
he finds a way to get himself in trouble no matter what.
And things happen, whether he turns into a Wolfman or to Bizarro Jimmy. Something always happens to him. But this
good thing Superman's his pal.
Exactly. If not for that, I don't know what would happen to him, but probably be dead. But this week we are returning to the format of it's kind of just anybody goes in terms of the big two. All right, so to start off, we're going to do Peggy Carter or Enchantress.
Peggy Carter.
That is incorrect. Peggy Carter was May 1966 in Tales of Suspense number 77. Enchantress was April 1966, Strange Adventures number 187.
Well then.
I'm just saying, if you're going to be that aggressive, you should probably be right. All right. Second pairing, we have Adam Strange or Calendar Man, everyone's favorite Batman villain. Adam Strange, you know, there's that great series going on right now by Tom King. I know you're very enthralled with that tale.
I just bought this mic. Don't make me throw it at you. I want to say Adam Strange, but I feel like you're trying to be tricky with me, so I'm going to say Calendar Man.
Well, you should have done what you did, because Calendar Man is the correct answer. Calendar Man premiered in September 1958 in Detective Comics 259. Adam Strange premiered in November 1958. Disappointingly not in Strange Tales. It was in just Showcase number 17. I think that would have been, Adam Strange, Strange Tales, Strange Adventure, But didn't happen that way. I would have done it differently if I was in charge. But hey, you deal with what you get. All right. So number 3, your favorite character. I know you're really excited about the new Suicide Squad movie. You're a big John Cena fan. So we have Peacemaker or Clue Master.
Peacemaker.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Peacemaker premiered in November 1966 in Fightin' 5, number 40.
I knew that one.
Clue Master premiered in May 1966 in Detective Comics 351.
I did not know Clue Master.
I know, right? I was like way earlier than I thought he came out too. I was like, wow, look at you. Been that useless for that long. Like, look at you go. But yeah,
I chose the one I did because I knew that one. I did not know the other one.
Again, if you're gonna be aggressive, you got to be right. But I know you're excited about Suicide Squad. You're excited John Cena's getting his own series on HBO.
Very excited.
You're really excited. Everything Peacemaker.
I wish he would live up to his name that I can't see him.
Everything's turning up Peacemaker right now. It's a good day to be a Peacemaker fan. All right. Well, it will be. It hasn't come out yet. All right. So the fourth pairing.
I do like him in the comic book.
Yeah.
What they're doing with him.
Yeah. Suicide Squad. The comic Suicide Squad's going great. I hope the movie does as well. The comic's going great. All right, so maybe it'll make you change your mind now that you're so excited about Peacemaker in the comics. Maybe you'll. Well, I mean, you're never gonna watch the movie anyway because you don't watch movies. But I'll have to tell you how good or not good it was. Fourth pairing, we have two names everybody knows around the table. Everybody knows these characters: Wendigo or Clarion the Witch Boy. Everybody knows them. Household names.
I know both of them.
I know you do. Well, you should. Go in a comic book store. You better.
I'm going to say Clarion.
That is correct. Clarion the Witch Boy was in March 1973 in The Demon #7, created by the King, Jack Kirby. Wendigo was not created by Jack Kirby. It was in April 1973. His first appearance was in Incredible Hulk #162. Would later go on to terrorize the X-Men, but he premiered
and be on
Hulk.
the cover with Wolverine.
Yeah. Nice pairing there. A lot of claws going on. All right, and the last one we have. I know how big of a Flash fan you are.
I am.
So I thought we'd
scared.
So I thought we'd go with some household villains of the Flash. So we have Dr. Alchemy or Gorilla Grodd. Who premiered first in comics?
I feel like you want me to say Gorilla Grodd because he's more famous. So I'm going to go with Dr. Alchemy.
I don't want you to say anything. I want you to lose. The correct answer is Dr. Alchemy. He premiered in June 1958, showcase number 14.
Yeah, but if I don't know the character, I'm trying to get into your psychology.
Gorilla Grodd was in May 1959 in Flash #106.
That made the cameraman laugh when I said that.
Well, somebody thinks you're funny. So yes, it was Dr. Alchemy, all the way back in 1958.
So I'm back above 50% with that one.
Again, we'll have to change the parameters of the game. Your odds are too good.
Because I can read you?
Even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Because I can read you?
Yeah. You have a 50-50 chance. It's not so much about reading me as...
I don't know. Anyway, we want to thank you for watching. Again, don't forget to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to your local comic book shop, Brainstorm Comics and Gaming YouTube channel. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know what you think we're doing right, what you think we're doing wrong. And
tell us your favorite Wendigo story.
How Chandler should start choosing characters that people actually know. All right. Thank you for watching and have a good day.